What is going on, everybody? Friday night, looking at Saturday's round 2 slate for DraftKings. 8 games, so very nice to not have the 16 games that we've got had these last 2 days. It's always fun. It's always fun, but it's always tough from a DFS perspective with just four windows of 4 games each. It's always tough to build lineups and track them throughout the day. Moved on in the King of the Bracket today. We were sweating it out a little bit in chat. Was going back and forth with a few guys, and oh man, it was quite the sweat. Going with, I think there was 2 minutes left, and Friedel from JMU needed a rebound to tie, which would have gave me the win, just the way that it worked out with De Silva being the highest scorer of the 2 teams. He ended up getting a few more than that, so in those last 2 minutes going to the free throw line too. So that was nice to be able to move on. So down to 16 teams left in that, or 16 players. We'll see if we can continue the run here on Saturday. Gonna hop right in. If you guys haven't joined us in Discord, be sure to check out the links in the description of the video and grab a weekly, monthly, annual package and join us in there. Get access to the full cheat sheet, and we'll continue to hopefully finish out this weekend strong. So of course, these are the teams that we saw win on Thursday. A lot of much tighter matchups than what we saw with, the big seeds as massive favorites. We now get, the 8-1s if it's a 1 seed, 4-5s in some cases. We've got an 11-14 matchup, which will be fun, but a lot closer games. We don't have to worry about blowouts for the most part. Even I think there's a case to be made that even if, teams get up, 15-20, that they might not fully rest people like they did on Thursday, because it's not a 2-day turnaround now. They have until next Thursday or Friday. If they do win, I don't think we have any massive, blowouts projected. The biggest spread is this first game, which is 9.5. And that, if it stays within 10, all the starters are staying in. So really happy that we don't have to worry about that. I think there's quite a few good plays on the slate. We'll get into it. I think there's some interesting tournament looks up top. There's some definite value down low under 4K that we'll get to. I think that'll allow us to get up to the pay-ups that we want. So let's hop right in. This show's not going to take as long as some of the others did, so want to knock this out, try to stay right around 25-30 minutes. Arizona's a 9.5-point favorite, 149.5 total against Dayton here. So we'll start out on the Dayton side. If they have a chance to pull this upset here, it's going to be on the back of Deron Holmes. 9,300, I think that's a fair price tag for him. He's definitely, maybe not the top pay up option, but one of the top few. If you've got salary, you can definitely get to him. He does have to go up against Ballo on the other side. Not the easiest matchup, but I think the pace up and things that's going to be in this game for Dayton really plays into making him a very strong pay-up option. Cheeks and Brea are 2, mid-range pivot options, or if you land their last pieces in, I think they make some sense in a pace-up, quite a big pace-up for Dayton. On the other side, you've got Omar Ballo, Kashad Johnson right out as the best point per dollar plays. We saw Caleb Love just nuke the slate, priced about $1,000 cheaper than this on Thursday. I don't know that we see that again, and I don't like paying almost $9K for him, maybe in tournaments, because he has been closer to this price than he was at the one he was at on Thursday, so most of the year. So I think you could play him in tournaments, but I would much rather take a shot on a Ballo or Kashad Johnson there at 6,300. Game 2 is Gonzaga and Kansas. This is going to definitely be one of the bets, and that's something I've not even got a chance to go back and look at the betting sheet from today to see what our results were. Just with the late sweat here, I think, let's see. That one, I think it was kind of an even day. Maybe I'll switch over and we'll take a look at this before we hop off here and just kind of. I think it was maybe slightly positive. We'll see. I think Gonzaga wins this game. Didn't like what I saw out of Kansas there, kind of middle of the game on Thursday night. I think they're definitely susceptible to an upset here, but there's some definite good DFS options for Kansas. We saw Furpy get a pretty big roll increase with no Kevin McCullough here on Thursday. He's only 6,600. I think he's definitely one of the top options on the slate in the mid-range. And Hunter Dickinson just murdered the slate, put up like 65 in a big pace up on Thursday as well. With Samford, I think, Gonzaga's a solid pace team. I think Dickinson, everything seems to run through him. I think he's one of the top couple pay-up options on the slate if you got the salary, and I think we do, to play one of these guys at least up here. KJ Adams would be a GPP option. He seemed pretty involved for me watching that game. 7,300, I think he can be mixed in tournaments. On the other side, Gonzaga, like I said, I think they win this game. They're sometimes tough to peg for DFS, but Anton Watson always seems to be my favorite DFS play. He's going to play max minutes, 7,700. I think is very fair for him. Nolan Hickman and Ryan Nembhard, both really good options, maybe more so for tournaments. Both are pretty safe because of their minutes floor. Hickman's pretty cheap too at 6,100. I guess you could mix them into a cash lineup if you land in one of those two spots. I wouldn't be completely against that. Really like this game at a 151.5 total. I think that's the top on the slate. Yeah, top on the slate. These first two games have the biggest totals. This is going to be an up and down, game. Definitely like lots of pieces on the Kansas side, the two I mentioned, and you could run it back with a Watson or one of those other guys for Gonzaga. Michigan State, North Carolina. This is pretty close spread for a one seed to have to deal with here. Not a ton that I like for DFS. We get. North Carolina is always thought of as a pace team, and they do have a positive pace to the average in the country. But they've been pretty good defensively, actually, this year, especially lately. We kind of see that here at a 140.5 total. They're favored by 4. I think you could play any of their studs if you want to in tournaments. Ingram's under 7K is a very fair tag. RJ Davis, 8,300. I think he's, again, a tournament play. Armando Bacot, this matchup's pretty good for him going up against Michigan State. We've targeted bigs against them, quite a bit over the years. And I think you can do so here if you want. I would lean to the Ingram side just because of the price tag, but any of those are really in play. Hoggard and Malik Hall, really the only two I would even think about for Michigan State. And even then, they're only tournament options, definitely not going to get there in cash games. All right. Washington State, Iowa State. This is the lowest total on the slate, but I think there are some, potential plays here. Maybe not so much in cash games, but I think you can definitely get here in tournaments. The two for Washington State, Jalen Wells and Isaac Jones, both just too cheap for me at 68 and 6,200, playing tons of minutes. I know it's 129 total, 61 implied total, but they can get there with peripherals. On the other side, Keshawn Gilbert and Taman Lipsey, kind of that's just kind of the thing for Iowa State. It's the same pretty much every slate. You can play either one of those guys. I've always this year leaned to Lipsey, but Gilbert actually is projecting better. So I think either of those for tournaments would be in play. Oakland and NC State. Here's the 11-14 matchup that I mentioned. NC State's favored by 6 and a 146.5 total. Oakland pulled the upset of Kansas on Thursday. They now get a red-hot NC State team. I think that, DraftKings did a pretty good job of increasing these Oakland prices on a Townsend, DQ Cole, Golke. All those guys now are definitely tournament only. I'll probably only, as of the top price guys for Oakland, would only consider Townsend, and I think there's some other pay-up options that are probably better. Rocket Watts, very good minutes on Thursday. He's only 3,700, one of the top value plays on the slate under 4K. He was one of the couple that I mentioned there. So you can definitely go to him. He'll be popular, but rightfully so. Diarra, Horn, Morcell, O'Connell, all those guys are in play for NC State. Horn is the main guy who runs this offense, 25% usage rate. Mo Diarra has came on so strong here later in the year. He's definitely in play as well. He's going to get you there more peripheral stats than a guy like Horn. DJ Burns is another guy who you could play. I just never seem to do so, and it's not murdered me yet, but definitely could. He's one of those guys that in the right matchup, he could get hot and down low and eat. Morcell and O'Connell are just kind of, GPP mid-range options just because of their price tags. Got to get hot, shooting for them to pay off for the most part. That's that game. Rocket Watts is definitely a priority. I wouldn't hate to land on, any of the other guys that I mentioned there, but maybe nobody else is a true have to get them into your lineup. This next game, I think, is going to be one of the better ones of the day with Texas and Tennessee. Mentioned it the other night, have Tennessee winning it all myself. I think they're just so good now with, they've been great on defense for years, but now they added, Dalton Connect this year, one of the best scorers in the country, averaging over 21 points per game. He's one of the better pay-up options on the slate as well at 85. Him and Jonas Idu for Tennessee are very, very good plays on this slate overall, not just thinking about Tennessee options. They are top options on this slate. Idu is definitely a priority at only 7K here. Dylan Disu on the other side, 6,700. Wow. I was calling him a very good tournament option on Thursday at 7K, and now he's 6,700. The problem with Disu is the fouls, and I think we're at the point though that you've got to buy on this on the talent, and hope if he can stay out of foul trouble, hope that he can get the minutes to crush this tag, and I think he can. I was looking back, so I went up against him in the king of the bracket on Thursday, and he definitely, of course, underwhelmed. But I was, when I was trying to keep up with how he was doing, I mean, he was still 3.5x and really underwhelmed at 7K. He would have been at 6,700. He would have been pushing closer to. He would have definitely been 3.5 X in a complete underwhelming foul trouble, game. I think, again, I just think he's a really good buy here at 6,700. I think you can consider him in all formats on this slate. Not the easiest matchup, overall, but definitely think you can play Dessou. Asmus, Ziegler on each side. I think their GPP options don't love their price tags here. If they were in the upper sixes or something, if Ziegler was low sevens, I think you could make a better case for them. But I think they're a little fuller price than I would like to get to on this slate. Duquesne and Illinois. Duquesne pulled the upset on Thursday. Illinois, they struggled a little bit, until they pulled away in the second half. Illinois is a 10-point favorite here. Biggest spread on the slate, 148 total. Let's pull up this one. So definitely some good plays here. Duquesne gets a slight pace up. Illinois is one of the teams that just doesn't play defense that we were talking about in chat that isn't in the SEC, which is rare. But I think that makes some of these Duquesne guys playable. David Dixon, 5,100, rates out really well. And then Jacob Neckes is the other under 4K guy that I think is one of the better value plays on the slate. I've not, of course, played with Bills yet, but first thing I'm probably going to do is plug in the two sub 4K guys and see what I can get from there as far as pay ups in mid range. Dixon, he returned to the starters on Thursday. Really projects well. Of course, if he's starting again, I don't see why he wouldn't. 5,100, very fair for him. Jake DiMichele is a guy who has a solid floor just because of his minutes, but he's not going to wow you or anything. So really more of a cash play if you landed there. But I think there's overall better plays. Day Grant and Jimmy Clark are the main two cogs for this team that if they're going to push Illinois at all, it's going to be through them getting hot scoring. I think Day Grant would be my favorite just because of the $500 price difference. GPP only option though. Illinois, Terrence Shannon is just putting this team, on his back and doing pretty much everything that he can. 9-1 on this slate. I think he's a decent GPP look, but I think there's just better overall plays. Domask had the triple-double out of nowhere. Well, I won't say out of nowhere because he's been solid all year. They're a three-headed monster of the two, Shannon, Domask, and Coleman Hawkins. All have been good all year, so I don't want to say, out of nowhere. But as far as what I was projecting out, definitely wasn't expecting it in round one. He's now 8,500. I don't think you can really get there. Shannon at 91, again, GPP option of the pay ups. Coleman Hawkins is a fair price at 71. He just seems to get there. That's something I want to dig into on him. He seems to just kind of ease his way to 4X every game. Maybe he's a very solid, one of those mid-range cash plays that if you land in that range, you have no problem going to because of the consistency. Dane Danger has came on lately, getting solid minutes and producing. He's only 5,600. I think you could look there in tournaments as well. So a lot of good plays in this game at a 148 total. Neckes is a top priority. Dixon, a definite priority look as well. And then you can mix some of those other guys in for tournaments. Last game of the slate, Oregon and Creighton. Oregon was the favorite, so I won't say upset of the 6th seed South Carolina on Thursday. Creighton struggled again a little bit early, was able to get that one done. Creighton, I think there's a lot of good plays in this one as well. And if you look at, we'll start on the Creighton side. All these, pay-ups, I think, have a really, really good stylistic matchup here against Oregon in the zone. This team's just full of shooters. Shireman, Trey Alexander, Ashworth, even Mason Miller. All these guys can shoot a team out of a zone. And I think they project very well, but I think they're very good options. Kalkbrenner at 9K has just been continuing to produce. He would be the GPP pivot just because of that price tag. Alexander and Shireman, top two for me there. Ashworth and Kalk are just GPP looks. On the Oregon side, you've got Dante at 8,800, who's in play as one of the pay-up options as well. I'll have, of course, all these guys ranked tomorrow morning to go a little bit more in depth and, help you prioritize pay-ups, because honestly, I haven't fully decided on, what I'm going to prioritize of those pay-ups. I just know that I'm going to be able to get there with some of the value that we have on the slate. Cousinard just absolutely mashed the slate Thursday against his former team, South Carolina. 8K, kind of tough for me, but he's a GPP look that, could ride the momentum of the tournament. Shellstad and Tracy are fine plays in their respective price tiers, 64. And then, Tracy playing over 30 minutes, probably under 5K. Is just another value look on this slate. So that's where I'm at for this one on Saturday. Let's look at the pay-up options really quick. So, if you just look at it as a whole, you've got Dickinson, Holmes, Shireman, Dante, Connect up there if you're looking 85 and above. I think Dickinson is, as of now, we'll say, Dickinson would be my favorite pay-up option, more than likely. From there, I really like Connect, but probably Shireman would come after that overall, and then Holmes, and then Connect, and then probably Dante. The other three that I have highlighted there would be tournament options. So that's where I stand right now on the pay-ups. I'll switch over to the betting sheet, and I'll give my favorite bets, of course, for tomorrow. But let's look at how we did today. Some of you, of course, if you tailed, probably already know. But here were our bets. We had Northwestern. That was a win. They won outright. UAB, I think they covered. They lost by 4, so they covered the 6.5. Of course, lost the half unit on the money line. New Mexico did not cover. They got smashed. Charleston or Colorado, wow, what a game that was. So we win that one. And then College of Charleston, I think they got waxed. So we come out for the day winning a unit, lost 0.5, lost 1.08, 1.1, minus 1.12, minus 0.5. So we come out the day minus 0.2 units. So pretty much a flat day there. So for the tournament, that puts us still positive 7, almost 7.5 units. So we'll take that. Let's go ahead and look at I'm going to pull up, like I have been, just on my phone for the, let's see, get the current odds in case they've changed. 9-6 for the tournament, but we are 7.5 through 2 days. All right, let's pull up the current sportsbook odds, see what we've got here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. And then as well, of course, if anybody's watching this on replay, I'll be around in the Discord to answer questions up until lock on Saturday. All right. It's taking a bit to load here. Grand Canyon up 8. St. Mary's looking at upset under 4. All right, so we get Arizona 9.5. I don't have a strong take on that game. Gonzaga minus 4.5 is going to be our first one for sure. So we've got the 5, Gonzaga minus 4.5 at minus 110 on DraftKings, 1.1 unit. Okay. North Carolina. I'm going to take North Carolina. I think that's just too short. Michigan State has definitely improved from what they started the year really underwhelming, but I think North Carolina can handle them here. So we'll go UNC minus 3.5. Something a little different so far. We're laying favorites. Let's see if we can find us any dogs here. Iowa State minus 6.5, 129 total. Don't really have a strong lean there. Oakland, I don't know what to think of that game. I was going to look and see what the team total for Michigan State was. I thought that might be an interesting underplay. 68.5. Maybe. That might be a later ad. I don't think I have a strong lean on the NC State game there. Man, Tennessee, I think that's just 6.5 is a little too much to lay. Don't really have a strong take on Illinois at 10.5. Let's see, and then Creighton is laying 5 to Oregon. If I had to pick that game, it would probably be Creighton. But man, Oregon's hot. Again, I think the stylistic matchup of Creighton is really good. So that could be an ad. That's the last game tomorrow. I'm not going to add that right now. We'll just stick with Gonzaga and North Carolina, laying the points there for tomorrow. But could potentially add that Creighton minus 5. I think that's an interesting look. That'll do it. Stayed right at 30 minutes. Good luck to everybody tomorrow. I will be back in the morning with rankings and cores, of course. I guess we've got, let's see how they did they probably did a night slate tomorrow that just doesn't have the first 2. So let's see. I've been doing cores for every single slate. They've got a 5:30 and a late slate at 7:50. I'll put cores up for those 2 as well. There might be some overlap, but that'll be fine. The first slate, or there's 2 games before 5:30 is all. So again, good luck to everybody. Feel free, if you've just joined in, to go back and rewatch. Pretty short video tonight with that only being 8 games. Hopefully we can continue the run in the Mania, or in what used to be the Mania, in the King of the Bracket, down to 16 from 64. So we'll see if we can keep it rolling into Sunday. Good luck to everybody in whatever contest you're playing in. Let's hope to see some green.